The Huntsville City Council meeting is now in session. If you were to have an electronic device that could disrupt this proceeding, please turn it off or put it in a silent mode. As always, thank you so kindly for your help. Also, will you stand if you choose for the invocation led by the Reverend Stella Slaughter, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Dr. Richard Showers. Thank you.
We give honor tonight to the esteemed City Council, to the audience and friends. Let us pray. Our most holy, help us as we attempt to do your will, as we undertake the affairs of our city. Help us, we pray, to do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you, Reverend Slaughter, for the invocation, and thank you, Dr. Showers, for the pledge. Council members, you have before you an electronic copy of the minutes from our regular council meeting set June 23rd, 2016. Are there any modifications and or corrections? Hearing none, the minutes stand as recorded. We're now at agenda item number 4, resolutions and special recognitions. Mayor Battle, you have the floor, sir. You need the mic.
Thank you, Mr. President. If we could start off with Steve Ivey. If we could get Steve Ivey, the director of our Parks and Rec, come forward. We have someone here that we want to recognize tonight, Gary Bock, who has brought a new sport to Huntsville. It's not as new as I would think, but it's interesting. You know, we always talk about the world changed. Used to be you played football, basketball, and baseball, and now there's all new sports coming in, and now there's one called pickleball, which is a very big sport, and a lot of my friends who used to play tennis with me are back there tonight, and I'd love for Steve to tell us about it and introduce Gary to us.
Mayor, thank you for the opportunity. Gary came to us back in 2014 when he was the chairman of the pickleball committee, which was set up by the Huntsville Madison County Senior Center, and they were investigating if they wanted to start the sport. We were fortunate enough to put a court in one of our rec centers, and Gary has been teaching people and working with them, and he's been a real ambassador for the sport. One of the things I'll tell you, Mayor, is as we went out and did the big picture, and anytime anyone would come up, the first thing they would say is, are you going to have pickleball? So I know he's got a lot of people that play the sport. He's grown it over 200. Now here in town. We have 6 different locations in our rec center that we do it in. We have 3 outdoor tennis courts that we've painted to do it, and it's one of the fastest growing sports in the United States. And we're sad to say that, you know, Gary's been a leader for this, and due to a family member being transferred, he's leaving town. So, you know, we're going to miss him, but he started something that will continue to grow, and we'll have a legacy here in town of the pickleball community. And I know they've already elected a new chairman, and they're moving forward with that. So we're real excited. The Recreation Department's committed to see the sport grow, and I know it will continue to grow.
Gary?
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate all those kind words. It was by far an individual effort. I have 20 people to thank, half of whom are here today. A lot of people have worked hard over the last 2 years. We had about 20 people playing when I moved to Huntsville 4 years ago, and we've expanded it quite a bit, but it's all due to efforts of many, many people. Thank you.
And Gary, I would like to get your I guess your groupies back there who are here with you tonight. I don't know if they'll be called picklers or pickleballers or what. If y'all would please stand to show everybody your support. Glad to have you here. And we have a proclamation here, Gary, and it has a bunch of whereases and talks about pickleball as a paddle sport. And it's one of the fastest growing sports in America, and talks about your countless hours that you gave to the city of Huntsville. And we want to say thank you for giving those countless hours, and talks about how you led us to the formation of the Huntsville Pickleball Club with 200 members. And with your enthusiasm, the game, Huntsville has benefited immensely in a very short period of time. And we want to say thank you for doing something great for the city of Huntsville. And we have the commendation for you to say thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you, Mayor.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, guys. Now, you might see that there is a number of guys here with the Huntsville Police Force. There are a number of people here, and they're all here to honor somebody. And Chief Mark McMurray, would you please come up to talk a little bit about who we want to honor and the achievements that he's done in the past lots of years.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to say to the council and to the mayor that this large crowd is due to an exciting agenda tonight, but I'd be lying. Most of us are here to honor a very special person, dear friend of mine, probably the most honorable, best police officer I've ever met. I'll tell you a little bit about this guy. Harry, if you would, come up here for a second. I want you to stand up here. If you've ever been written a citation, it might have been by this man. He went through the 14th session of the Huntsville Police Academy. Now, we're in the 55th session. That happened back in 1975. He was an auxiliary officer at that point. We don't have those today. For 20 years, Officer Dobbins, sworn officer, gun and badge, bought his own patrol car, 20 years. He bought his own motorcycle to run on task force. He paid for his own gasoline, sworn and bonded. Like I said, we can't get away with that anymore. He was hired as we went ahead, we figured after 20 years he's worth keeping. He's a keeper. We hired him in 1992. He went to third shift. He was assigned to task force for many years until 1999. He went to another task force unit. 2001, he went to Fleet Division for a while. Traffic services in 2001 to 2004. He's a police officer this whole time since 1975. He's the longest standing police officer we have in our department today. In 2004, he medically retired, but he stayed active. We brought him back as our fleet director again. He still has not taken a day off. I'm telling you, we can't get this man to take a vacation. He loves police officers. He loves his job, and he loves his community. He worked cutting grass for Oakwood University to make income so he could be a police officer for the community of Huntsville. They don't make guys like this anymore. None. I'm telling you, I'm not one. I'm not worthy. There's not an officer in this police department like this guy right here. We're extremely honored to have you up here. In 2001, the mayor and city council actually recognized him with a special service award. In 2009, he won Administrative Bureau Officer of the Year. 2009, he was one of the shining stars in mayor's interview highlights he used in the mayor's State of the City address. And then he has received meritorious service awards for many accomplishments. And tonight, if the command staff would come up here and join me, we would like to honor you again with a Lifetime Meritorious Service Award. And these don't come very often. They're if I can get it open. This is what you receive. Harry, it's for your uniform. We try to keep him out of uniform as much as we can. But Harry, we're very proud. Thank you, son. For you.
Harry, we do have one more recognition for you. I have a proclamation here from the city of Huntsville, and the proclamation has 8 whereases, with which Chief McMurray just mentioned every one of them. So you don't get any additional whereases, but But with all these whereases, it talks about your career here and how you were in the 14th session and everything else that Chief McMurray just mentioned. But now, therefore, I, Tommy Battle, Mayor of the City of Huntsville, do hereby proclaim Friday, July 15th, 2016, to be Officer Harry Dobbins Day. That is your day. Thank you so much.
Mayor Bock, Battle, City Councilman, fellow police chief, and fellow police officers, I really appreciate this. I'm not a speaker, but I want you to know I really appreciate this. I love Huntsville. I love the police department. I hate to go home, but I know that's going to happen one day. But thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Also, I don't know if you noticed, Chief Mark Hudson, Chief Rex Reynolds are here, some old-time retiree, Vince Darrow, Kenny Bryant, a whole bunch of retired police cops here. You go way back. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilman, shake your hand. Thank you. Go find those guys down there. They want to take you off. And if we could ask Shane Davis to come forward. Shane, would you please come forward with us? Tonight, we have a very special presentation from a member of the County Commission. We have, it's kind of interesting, we partner with our County Commission. We partner with the City of Madison and do a lot of work in partnership. And Steve Haraway's here. Steve, if you'll come forward for us, please. And I'd like for Shane to talk about some of the work that we're partnering with him that is going to be part of a presentation night.
Thank you, Mayor. As the Mayor alluded to, Commissioner Haraway is constantly calling my department and say, how can I assist in Huntsville? He's a great partner for Huntsville. And back when we passed the budget, we committed to resurface Waltrana Highway, heavily used to our airport and our intermodal system. And as soon as we passed the budget, Commissioner Haraway called me and said, I want to help with that. And tonight he wants to present this council and the mayor a check for $150,000 to go towards that resurfacing. So thank you.
Shane, I appreciate that. And when I took office 3.5 years ago, my goal was to work with Huntsville, Madison, everybody involved, to try to better the community. And Mayor Battle and I have talked about numerous projects. We've talked with Shane about numerous projects, as he said. And I think last year we worked on the Wind Drive resurfacing and realignment. And Shane and I have been talking about this project off and on for the last 3 years. And I don't have a large budget, but if I'm given 3 years to work on it, I can set aside a little bit each year and hopefully make a difference. Waltrana is an important road for us. There's numerous employers along that route, Boeing, Remington, Huntsville International Intermodal Center, BASF, SESI, Kohler, and the General Mail facilities located there. So there's a lot of important people there's a lot of people that travel that road that depend on those employers for their well-being every day. So we're excited we're a part of it. We're excited it's getting taken care of. And then with the widening of Martin Road, when that project starts, that whole area will be, I think, in a lot better shape. And we're excited to be a part of that. And we appreciate you allowing us to be here tonight. Council President Culver, thank you. Members of the council, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight.
Great. Thank you. And to Steve, I want to say, thank you for a great partnership. The people of Huntsville and partnering with the Madison County Commission, we can make great strides happen. 2 of those businesses that you mentioned have already added employees in the last year, and I think we'll see many more of those add employees over the next couple of years. So the repaving of that road, which is a central pivotal roadway for the whole industrial corridor, is very, very important, and $150,000 helps get us very, very close. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.
And I hope we had it on tape that I gave the check to our city clerk treasurer, Ken Binion, so I did not lose a check. Finally, we've got a little presentation. As the council, as most of y'all saw, we did Big Spring Park East, and we have just gotten finished with renovations on Big Spring Park East. It's been a great success for us. We are going to start Big Spring Park West probably August, September timeframe, and we wanted to give you an update about where we were in the progress of moving this project along. It is an important project to the city because it is kind of the central jewel of our central downtown core. And with all the success that we've had at Big Spring Park East, I think West is going to be just as much a success. And so I'd like to turn over to Mr. Hamilton, who has pushed all this through and done a great job with it. And John, would you kind of tell us about that?
Members of council, thank you. Good evening. First I want to emphasize that the presentation I have tonight, just a handful of slides to give you some initial information. There is absolutely nothing on the agenda tonight that requires your vote or consideration. This is really for information only, as there are going to be some construction contracts involved in this project that will come before you at future council meetings, and we'll obviously be prepared to talk about those in detail and ask you to consider those contracts. As the mayor mentioned, we just within the last year completed renovations in Big Spring Park East, and the timing of doing that was really driven by some infrastructure issues. We had underground water that was actually creating small sinkholes and things, and was causing damage to the seawalls and to the sidewalks and things, and so we really had to get that repaired. And we took that opportunity to go ahead and fix other kind of aesthetic issues in the park, repair the sidewalks, repair some of the landscaping, those kind of things, so that we only had the park shut down one time for all those repairs. We have the same issue in Big Spring Park West. So the work that I'm talking about tonight is exclusively to the western side of the park, everything west of Church Street. There's no additional work that we're talking about here that's required on the east side of the park. This project has been contemplated in the capital plan for a while. It's the time has come, and we've been working with you in the last year or two as you've approved the CIP to shift the funds to get it aligned with the way we need to. We're now prepared to execute it, and there are some constraints in terms of events in the park that I'll talk about a little bit later. So we can talk about how we repair the park, but also continue to support many of the big events that occur in downtown. The issues that we need to address in repairing the park, the primary one is the seawall that forms the two ponds or lakes. There's places where it's collapsing. I have some pictures to give you some examples of where that is. If you've spent any time in the park, you've probably noticed the work that landscape management and public works has had to do to try and stabilize it as best they can and keep it safe. But the collapsing seawall has become a problem. Let me go ahead and hit those pictures now so you see those. So these are just 3 examples of places where you see the wall. This is one where it's really just started. The lower part of the wall is still there under the water surface, but the upper part has already started to collapse. Another example here, and all that clay is places where landscape management has brought in clay and gravel to try and stabilize it and preserve it as best they can. Here's probably the worst example where the wall is now out here basically as rubble in the water, just places where, because of the way the water undermined that wall, the way it was constructed, the mortar has begun to fail, and so there's places where just the pressure from the dirt on the back side of that wall has caused it to collapse. There's also places where the sidewalks are broken uneven. As over decades, sidewalks need to be replaced or repaired in certain places, so we have that throughout the park. We have some places where the park is designed to sheet drain whenever we have rain and things. There's some places where going down to the water's edge, it's really too steep, so that runoff moves too rapidly. It's stripped away the grass. It causes erosion that needs to be repaired. So as we go back in, we'll be able to fix those slope issues, make the space more usable, and better control the erosion issue. We really don't have sufficient electrical infrastructure throughout the park to support the kind of events that we have now. A lot of times you go to the big events and you're listening to generators and smelling the fumes from generators. Our goal is, just like we did on the east, to put in electrical infrastructure that can better support the festivals, the events, the concerts, the different things that occur there, and hopefully significantly reduce, if not eliminate, the need for users to bring in generators and things that detract from the events. We also have some issues in the lakes where the water flow does not allow them to clean themselves, and so a lot of biological matter from the fish and the ducks in particular really create kind of unhealthy conditions in the water, and so there's some things that we'll do as we rebuild the wall to shape it such and fix some of the way the water flows where those lakes can actually clean themselves. So the engineering team that has gone through the design process has brought in hydrologists to inform that process so that the canal that we know can also serve to help clean that matter out of the lakes and keep the lakes healthier for really primarily for the fish and the ducks, but also for any humans that may interact with the water. And then also pedestrian safety. As we've seen the downtown develop, as you see all the pedestrians in the last few days with Pokemon Go, there's been a lot of pedestrians in and around the park. But also, just the two existing connections that we have at Church Street and then going across Monroe into VBC, and then adding a third, the connection into City Center. It's really important that we improve some of the infrastructure there and the conditions so that it's safer for pedestrians. And you'll see that. I'll come to a rendering that shows the kind of engineering design for some of the things going to happen in the park. So the bid proposal is out for the reconstruction of the seawall, and it's online. So I'm sure we have construction companies now that are looking at and putting together their proposals. And so this is one of the renderings that comes out of those blueprints and engineering design as part of the bid package. I talked about the pedestrian connections. We will do some additional materials on the streets themselves to actually help with some traffic calming and better crosswalks for the large crowds that cross. And this is the new one that will go in. That aligns with what will be the central pedestrian core of City Center. So we expect there to be a lot of folks that will want to come over from that new development into the park. And so this allows for a safe way to cross, and then they land there in a little plaza area so they can then engage with the rest of the park. The seawall, let me go back to the seawall because that is the most significant part of this. One of the challenges that we have is that we cannot repair the existing wall. We essentially have to replace the existing wall. And as they've gone through all of the different ways in which to do that and considered kind of the engineering solution, what we've determined is the best way to do it is, number one, not to drain the lake. So the water will stay there, the fish will stay there, the ducks will stay there during the construction. And we'll actually build a wall in front of the existing wall. And the system that'll be used is precast large blocks that actually the face of them look like natural stone that matches the existing stone that you see up here on this end of the park. So when the canal going behind Embassy Suites was done, basically a lot of that kind of design work stopped right there at the mouth of the lake on that western end. And so what will now happen is that new wall will match the design of the stone that you see there. But these large blocks, the same system that Public Works used along with engineering to repair Lake 5 out in CRP. So we have experience with it. It's a very efficient system to install and will be much sturdier, much better, much longer lasting than the wall that we have right now. So they will actually build this wall directly in front of the existing wall, and then the old wall just get encapsulated in the dirt and gravel that backfills that new wall. And that will then allow us to put sidewalks or whatever on top of it, so you'll be able to walk around the edge of the water. It creates a much safer environment for people to be there, engage with the water's edge and things, and then allow us also to fix those slope issues I talked about to fix the erosion. The erosion problem is particularly bad here on this side of the lake, and then the places where the seawall is collapsing the most is over here on this side. Let me talk about dealing with the dead water issue, the lack of water flow. One of the things that will occur, you can kind of see it here, is an underground culvert. That last little piece there will actually change the way the canal pushes the water into the lake. So right now, where it essentially goes straight this way, and all of this over here is dead water, as well as over there, reshaping it will allow that water to flow through the lake and actually help clean that biological material and keep the lake cleaner. And you'll see we bumped the wall out just a little bit right there to help with that flow. So there is a place right there where the lake is reshaped just a little bit by a few feet in order to force that water to flow in more of a serpentine fashion rather than going straight down the wall. In terms of landscaping, the park, the character of the park stays as it is. You still see the cherry trees on the edge of the water. In fact, there's some places where the existing trees have died just due to age or disease, where they'll be replaced, and so we'll actually end up with more of the lake surrounded by the cherry trees. Some areas that we never did have cherry trees, we'll go back in and kind of continue that design feature around the edge of the lake. We also, in the bid proposal, there'll be an option that we're talking to the Museum of Art about, of actually doing a hardscape plaza there right off the back stage area. There's really two reasons for that. One is providing a place a little bit more conducive for the temporary seating and things that's brought in for events like concerts and things off the backstage, but then also provide a hardscape surface for the ice rink that comes in every year. One of the challenges that we've had in maintaining the park in that particular area is every year when they take up the ice rink, it has killed all the grass because it sits there for a couple months, and we're resodding that area every year. And that is, one, just from a cost perspective, is not really sustainable, but also resodding the same area over and over and over again, it is not going to come back looking the way that we all want it to look. And so we will have an option to put in kind of a decorative plaza area that will be usable year-round, but will also accommodate, it's big enough to accommodate the ice rink that's in from November through December every year. So that's essentially what we're doing in terms of repairing the park. I've had people, and we've had some citizens, as we've talked about this previously, there's been things that you've seen in the media and other places where we've talked about the fact that this repair is coming. People asking me, is this, are we going to a complete redesign of the park? I hope you can see from this image that it's not. This is really a repair of the existing. There are obviously some places where we're fixing some design issues that allow the park to stay healthier and more usable to the public. But absolutely the intent is that it is still the Big Spring Park that we've known for the last few decades. Obviously Big Spring Park has not always looked like this. Particularly that western lake has not always been there, but it's certainly been there for several decades now, and I think it is really the look and the feel that our community come to expect. And so this is intended to renovate that, repair it, and bring it back to a more maintainable standard. So I talked about some of the constraints in terms of events. There is a lot of risk built into the timeline for this project because we do not intend to disrupt the ongoing concerts in the park this year, which come to an end in early August, and we intend for the park to be available for Panoply in 2017, which occurs in late April. And so the engineers have told me it is absolutely possible. There's weather risk in there. There's other things that could happen to delay it. But at this point, they're pretty confident that they will be able to hit that timeline. We are working directly with Arts Huntsville, in particular because of Panoply, just on what would be the mitigating strategies if some portion of the park were not available in time, how we could still make sure that Panoply happens in a good way. And so we'll have those backup plans if necessary. But at this point, the intent is that Panoply would still go on as scheduled there, and that only about the third week of April. The Museum of Art ice skating here in late 2016 and the Tinsel Trail at the end of 2016 are also scheduled to go on as normal. Tinsel Trail this year will mostly be over in Big Spring Park East, but we anticipate that as they go through the construction process, we'll be able to reopen the portion of Big Spring Park West that's adjacent to Church Street. So a portion of the park in between Church Street and the Red Bridge, that eastern end of Big Spring Park West, which would allow some of Tinsel Trail to go across the other side, and also that area behind the museum be available for the ice rink. So if we run into challenges as they get into construction, if we have problems, then we'll work with those organizations to make sure we have a way to mitigate the impacts and still have those events go on here in the downtown area. And so this gives you an idea of what that timeline looks like. I want to emphasize tentative. As obviously once you get in and start turning dirt and doing some things, you could run into challenges, and so we'll just have to work our way through those. But the bid proposal is out right now for the construction portion of this. We right now anticipate bringing you that contract on August 11th, which would allow us then to get construction started on a normal timeline by the end of August with completion at the beginning of April. This will be done much like Big Spring Park East. So Big Spring Park East, there was portions of that work that had to be done by an outside contractor because it was outside the capability of our departments. But you also saw a lot of the work actually performed by our departments: landscape management, engineering, public works, Parks and Rec. I'm sure I'm missing a couple in there. It was kind of all hands on deck to make sure that was done as efficiently as we could. It was really done pretty inexpensively, and a lot of that's because we were able to use in-house workforce to execute much of it. Big Spring Park West will be the same. The seawall is really something that the majority of that is something that will be contracted out. Much of the concrete work will be contracted out, but you'll also see Public Works doing large portions of that. You'll see landscape management doing a lot. You'll see general services doing a lot of that project, and engineering, and on down the list of those same departments will all come together to make that happen. So ultimately, we think it will be done pretty efficiently. The total budget for this project is about $1.9 million. Which is much less than we had originally contemplated, and we're able to get there because of using that in-house workforce to get the portions that are capable of performing. So looking forward to getting this done. It's an important piece of infrastructure for our community, for not just for downtown, but the entire region, and it's important that we maintain it properly and keep it safe for our community to use. So that concludes my briefing. As I said previously, as we bring contracts to you, obviously there'll be more discussion, and certainly we'll be able to entertain questions there, but happy to entertain any questions right now if you have any.
Council members?
Mr. President, I guess if I could, since I've seen the park over the years when I was growing up here in the city of Huntsville, I think it's a great investment y'all are making, and I like the fact that there's a lot of things that are taking place in the city where we're not just growing outward, but we're taking care of what we have inward, and we're repairing and maintaining and improving what we have on the intersection of the cities, and I think you got a great plan. Congratulations, good
Thank
job.
you. Any further comments, council members? And as it relates to Big Spring Park East, I watched that from my window, and you all did do that in a very timely and efficient manner. I was amazed at how quickly it got done. I wasn't sure if it was going to be ready in time, but you all did. So again, congratulations to you. Thank you, sir. Anything else, Mayor Battle?
That's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Battle. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Council members, we're now at agenda item number 4. We have one item for adoption only. 4.2a is a resolution recognizing the Dominion Covenant Fellowship of Churches International on holding its 2016 International Convention in Huntsville from July 26th through the 30th, 2016, brought by Dr. Showers. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. Ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. Any other special recognition? We're now on agenda item 4D, announcements. Are there any announcements, council members? Mayor? We're now at agenda item number 5. There isn't any business with outside legal. We're now at agenda item number 6, public hearings. Now is the time and place for the following public hearings to be held. 6A1 is a public hearing on a resolution authorizing the city clerk treasurer to assess the cost of cutting and removing of grass and weeds against certain properties, brought by Community Development. Ms. Jordan.
Yes, Mr. Culver, Council. This resolution identifies 23 properties that were in violation of the city's grass and weeds ordinance. All 23 owners received written notification that they were in violation of our ordinance, and they were all given 14 days to correct the violation. None of them responded, and Community Development issued work orders to cut these properties. The owners received a written request by first-class mail for payment for this work, and they failed to respond. So I'm requesting that property assessments be placed on each property in order to collect our costs.
Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the council on this particular matter? Mr. Timberlake, if you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Ralph Timberlake, 2117 Atkins Drive, Huntsville, Alabama, 35810.
Thank you, sir.
I rise in opposition to present a question as to how we are relying on the mail system. Now, I bring this question because I have a letter from the Human Relations Commission from Mr. Alan Lynn Bouchard, chairman of that board, who says we have nothing to do, when I say we, the city of Huntsville, have nothing to do, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, pursuant to the 14th Amendment, which is equal protection under the law. As you well know, part of Ms. Jordan's presentation seemed to hinge on the fact that the United States Postal Service has done its due diligence in delivering the mail pursuant to the Private Express Statute and Article 1, Section 8 of the United States approved Constitution. But according to Mr. Bouchard, the city is not doing its due diligence to ensure that those employees of that venerable institution is carrying out its due diligence. So, Mr. President, I am deeply concerned and mortified by the fact that we will rely upon such an institution without ensuring that that institution officials in this city do its due diligence before we take some adverse action against one of our citizens and particularly against property owners. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Timberlake. And Ms. Jordan, again, using the U.S. Postal Service, does that meet the requirement as it relates to what the city of Huntsville is required to do as it relates to giving notice?
Yes, it does, Mr. Culver. You might remember, we're making property owners aware that they needed to cut their grass, a responsibility that you would hope a property owner would know that they were responsible for.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to address the council on this particular matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Discussion, council members? Ready for the question? Mr. Clean.
Mr. President, I believe, and I had checked previously on this, the letters that Ms. Jordan's office send those things out has a return address. So I think it's a reasonable assumption that if something is not deliverable, that it would be returned, to the department. So I think that's worth putting in the record.
Thank you, Mr. Clean. Any further discussion, council? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 6A2 is a public hearing regarding private subdivision entitled McMullen Place Phase 5 at McMullen Cove, brought by Planning. Discussion, Mr. McGuffey.
So, council members, this subdivision was reviewed and approved by the Planning Commission June 28th. The ordinance states that the council must approve any private subdivisions. Each phase of McMullen Cove has been reviewed and approved by this body.
Thank you, Mr. McGuffey. Anyone from the public wishes to address the council? Mr. Timberlake.
Mr. President, Ralph Timberlake, 2117 Atkins Drive, Huntsville, Alabama, 35810. As a layperson who is not able to understand the legalese, would you, Mr. President, be so gracious in asking them to describe what is a private subdivision versus a non-private subdivision, and what protection are they getting from the city that other individuals of their own homes may not be getting as well?
And Mr. McGuffey, could you distinguish between a private subdivision? I'm not aware of a non-private subdivision, but could you address Mr. Timberlake's questions, please, sir?
Yeah, private subdivisions have private infrastructure, stormwater, sometimes sanitary sewer systems. They still are asked for us to provide trash services or recycling services. They receive police and fire protection from the city of Huntsville. The ways they've just set up their subdivision, they asked it to be private, whether it be a gate or a guard shack at the front of the subdivision.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public wishes to address the council on this particular matter? Hearing none, the public hearing is now closed.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. Thank you, Mr. McGuffey.
Yes, sir.
Council members, we're now at agenda item 6B, public hearings to be set. The chair moves for consolidation and approval to set public hearings for agenda items 6B 1 through 4. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made, properly second. The chair wishes to read these into the record. 6B1, public hearings to be set. 6B1 is a resolution to set a public hearing on an ordinance rezoning property lying on the east side of Wynn Drive and on the north side of Old Madison Pike from Research Park District to Research Park Commercial District. This will be set August the 25th, 2016 at a regular council meeting. 6B2 is a resolution to set a public hearing on an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance deleting Article 32, Plan Development, Shopping Center District Regulations, deleting Article 33, Plan Development, Highway Commercial District Regulations, and amending Article 70, Off-Street Parking and Loading Requirements, subsection 70.1.3, Minimum Parking Spaces Requirement, to remove language concerning Plan Development Commercial Centers. This will be set August the 25th, 2016 at a regular council meeting. Agenda item number 6B3 is a resolution to set a public hearing on ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance, amending Article 27, Village Business C6 District Regulations, Section 27.5, Off-Street Parking and Loading Requirements, to add language concerning shared parking. This will be set August 25th, 2016 at a regular council meeting. 6B4 is a resolution to set a public hearing for Romeo Charlie Delta Charlie Enterprises Incorporated doing business as Joyride for the operation of 2 special shuttles brought by Parking and Transit. Discussion, ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. These hearings will be set for the respective dates, and we'll take it up at that time. We'll now add agenda item number 7, communications and reports from the public. As I call your name, if you will go to the nearest microphone, you will have approximately 3 minutes to address this body. Ms. Demetrius Perry, and I hope I didn't butcher your name too badly, ma'am. Demetrius. Thank you, Ms. Perry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I appreciate the opportunity to address.
And Ms. Perry, would you adjust the mic so that everyone can hear you, please, ma'am? Thank you so kindly.
Is this better?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to
And
address
state your name and address for the
the
record as well,
council.
please.
My name is Demetrius Pierce Perry, and I'm a resident of 101 Sarah Jane Drive, Madison, Alabama.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And for the sake of brevity, since I only have the 3 minutes, I'll read my concern, which is regarding the constant use of profanity in our pinochle group at the Drake Senior Center. I stated my concern to the director, Mr. Glenn, on several occasions, beginning 2 years ago and as recent as several months ago. After no action was taken, I informed him that I would go higher with my concerns if he did not enforce his policy. I spoke with Councilman Bill Clean, who agreed with me that I shouldn't have to tolerate the use of profanity in a public facility. And he also said that he would look into it and call me back. I never received a call back, so I'm assuming that this was just an oversight on his part. I direct your attention to number 6 of the Senior Citizen Center Participation Policy, which I passed out to each person. And again, it is number 6, and it reads in part, any conduct which diminishes others' ability to enjoy the senior center or which makes them uncomfortable, unsafe, or threatened in any way is unacceptable. Clients who refuse to modify their behavior after being asked to do so may be asked to leave the building and or suspended according to the severity of the offense. I've asked on numerous occasions that this policy be enforced. About 2 years ago, I stopped attending the center, but resumed attendance there about 5 months ago, where I found that the use of profanity had increased. I'm aware that this policy was enforced years ago when a client was using profanity during bingo games. Without going into specifics, which I'm willing to do off record with the council, I request that you take action to ensure that the policy is enforced, because I do feel very uncomfortable and threatened because of having asked individuals to respect my right to not be subjected to the use of profanity. The environment has grown very hostile, and presently I do not attend the group, although I enjoy playing pinochle. The enforcement of the center policy should alleviate this problem. So, therefore, I respectfully thank you for the privilege of voicing my concern, and I would appreciate your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. And I will say that we will certainly ascertain who is responsible for the enforcement of those policies. In fact, I do plan to make a visit there. I know that Councilman Kling had been under the weather for a minute. Councilman Kling, do you have any comments on that, sir?
Well, she is correct. We did talk, and I did contact Mr. Glenn to let him know about the concern that had been expressed to me, and I never did hear anything further from him. And you are correct. I owe you an apology. I did not call you, but I did contact him. But I guess it's one of those things. It was a couple of months ago when this had happened, and I never heard anything further. And you just kind of, well, I guess everything's okay, and you kind of move on to the next issue. So I should have followed up better with
Well,
it.
I think had I received a response as promised, I would not have felt the need to come to the council tonight. And I'm very adamant about people respecting other people's feelings, and I think in public, this should not be permitted.
Okay, and
But
Ms.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Reverend Panisha Stigger and Minister Fred Whitlow, if you would position yourself. And are you all speaking together, or do you
We
prefer
are
to
together.
speak? Okay.
Yes.
Thank
Good
you.
evening, Mayor, Council, and community. My name is Reverend Panisha Stigger. My address is 132 Pitts Griffin Drive, Madison, Alabama, 35756. Myself and Minister Whitlow are here tonight to invite each of you and the community to a Community Love Thy Neighbor prayer vigil. This is on behalf of the Love Thy Neighbor initiative. And the Love Thy Neighbor initiative is led by faith leaders, a diverse group of faith leaders. And our purpose is to reflect the love of Christ and embrace opportunities for hope and healing within the communities. And through our faith in God, we seek to make a difference and an impact in all lives. And so we invite you all to come out. I'm going to allow Minister Whitlow here. He will give you the information concerning the invitation. You will hear more because this is only the first of many prayer vigils and prayer meetings that we will put together as we venture out into other communities, praying to the Lord in hope and healing for all. We've also invited our police community to come out, and we thank Councilman Kling, who has already confirmed that he will be attending with us on next Friday. Again, we believe God is building unity within the communities.
Thank you, Minister Whitlow. And Reverend Stigger, sir.
My name is Frederick Whitlow,
Oh, I'm
affectionately
sorry.
known as Minister Fred. And I live at 615 8th Street Northwest, 35805. The address of where we will meet will be at the West Side Seminole Boys and Girls Club. It's located at 125 Earl Street, and that's Huntsville, Alabama, 35805. The time of the prayer vigil will be from 7 to 8 p.m., and we're looking forward to, it's on this Friday, next Friday coming, which will be July the 22nd, and that's from 7 to 8 p.m. We have flyers, and if you have any, want to get in touch with us, you can just let us know, and we can be reached as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Whitlow, and thank you, Reverend Stigger.
Thank you.
Mr. Ralph Timberlake.
Ralph Timberlake, 2117 Atkins Drive, Huntsville, Alabama, 35810.
Thank you.
I'm here, and it's going to be a saddening because it seems like people who have my same phenotype seem to be easily marginalized, and their concerns and the abuse that they have to endure on an everyday basis are trivialized and made to feel ashamed. However, to that end, I'm here once again to ask the council and the president to explain to me where is the policy that deals with trespass warnings, particularly on public property. Now, public property means the property which is owned by the state, federal, and local governments. I've sought these answers because it seems like the council want to abscond from its obligation under the 14th Amendment. As you well know, the history of the 14th Amendment came about because my ancestors had been denied their rights by, particularly under the Jim Crow laws in the southern states. It seemed like those kind of things are still under the very surreptitiously done now by some of our government officials. Well, I hope that this is not a trend which this city council will continue to allow to manifest itself, and will take actions, empirical action, to which all can see is your true concern to eradicating this. As Mr. Kling, as Councilman Kling alluded to a while ago, about do people have mail returned to them? If I understood before, there has never been anybody that says what the post office is telling the truth or not, because you have a third-party person who is not vetted, nor do they have the obligation, or nor do they accept their obligation under the Fifth Amendment and under the 14th Amendment, a due process of law, to make sure that everything is done and is as a servant and not as an owner. When I say that, I'm simply saying is these people that work there work for us as you do. And it's a shame that it seems that sometimes not only do you forget, but it's more sadly that we forget. Thank you for the opportunity to address you.
Thank you, Mr. Timberlake. And as it relates to the A part of your question, the expiration of a trespass warning, I believe that is subsumed under case law, and I'm going to defer to our city attorney. Counselor, could you address that, sir?
I'm not sure that I was able to identify exactly the question. It sounds like you have some general questions about trespass law in Alabama. So
And Counselor, for clarification, the B part of his question we have already addressed. The A part of his question was an inquiry as it relates to the expiration of a trespass warning on public property. Is that?
Okay, I am not prepared to give you an answer for that. And it will be dependent oftentimes on which piece of public property you're talking about, what particular law you may have been given a trespass warning in. Unfortunately, I cannot give you an answer based on the information that I have.
Thank you. Thank you, Counselor. And Mr. Timberlake, just to further expound on that a bit, and I know you're a very studious person, you're not going to find that written specifically in a statutory law. As I remember it, it is subsumed under case law, and case law changes from time to time, depending on what the totality of the circumstances are. So, Counselor is correct in his response to you, and if you want to do the research on that, or he'll be more than happy to get back with you on that, but you're not going to find that in black and white, and I've dealt with that for the last 17 years as chief magistrate with the courts, and there is not a law that identifies that specifically as it relates to when does it expire. Primarily, if it is revoked, it expires at that time, and if not, it could remain standing for an indefinite period of time, perhaps. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Counselor. We're now at Miss Jackie Reed. That's where we are. And I contribute that, Miss Reed, to my head and not my heart.
Thank you. Good evening. First, I want to thank you for allowing the public input. I am sad to hear the passing of Dr. Sonny Herford. It's sad. He accomplished many for many people while he lived, and I'm sad he didn't get to see the street before he passed on. Another message from a citizen who says, we are not getting the services that we deserve in this city, but I got to go back and thank you for Big Spring, that you did fix the Big Spring out here, and it looks great and it looks beautiful. I'm sorry I couldn't tell that on Dale Jackson the other day because he asked me, but there was so much that you've done for so many developers that I didn't think about something you all did for the people. I'm sad. I'll bring that up. I promise you I will. The people are bringing their issues to me. Martha Drive, they're not picking up their garbage on Martha Drive. Somebody comes and said they'd like for somebody to get a hold of it. I also say that I'll be here when you take on Cummings Research Park. That is a thorn in my side, and it's really, really bothering me. Why are you doing this to turn up Cummings Research Park? If you'll go back and pull it up, it's the second biggest industrial development in the nation in the USA. Why would you even run a road through there? Why would you even thinking to go through there? Is it a development for self-interest, or is it development for what is it for? I really want to know. I heard you've been trying to buy Sears and Pennies for a year now. Maybe they're going to ask too much for you and you're not going to get to, but I heard you've been working on them for a year trying to buy them out there. Nobody wants another Bridge Street where you have to walk outside and shop. This needs to be brought before the public, and it needs to be discussed before you all start your development out there. And self-interest has got to stay out of development in this city. I'm sorry. I know what I'm talking about. I see too much going on. I'm not calling names, but I'm saying we got to stop some of this mess. We don't like competition with self-interest. That's not good. And the big money boys and the big developers in this city has been running it way too long. Let's get back to what we've got and take care of the people. Take care of what we got and quit being the first or the biggest of the city. We want to be like Mississippi, New York, New Orleans, Washington. Let's go down and go by Copeland's on the corner down at Airport Road. Put a great big rocket up there and develop John Hunt Park. Why don't we start with John Hunt Park? We took the jam out of the city. We took SideQuest, the big educational facility, out of the city. And we're developing downtown, but I want to see more of some of
Ms. Reed,
that.
your time is up. Would you like another minute?
No, I'll be up at the end and finishing up what I got to say.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. We're now at agenda item number 8. I'm sorry, before we go there, Mayor Battle, would you like to comment on the research part of her inquiry, sir?
Well, I think everybody needs to understand, Research Park is a modification of the whole park. We have had consultants in, we have gone through the park. It adds boulevards in there, adds pocket parks, Research Park East, which is our older part of the park, has 40 to 50-year-old buildings. We put some work in there to make Research Park East become much more advantageous to be redeveloped. Some people will probably be able to take buildings, great buildings, and put new buildings on there. And it's a rejuvenization of a park that is 50 years old. We are the second largest research park in America, and we're very proud of that, but we have to come in and we have to rejuvenate that park to make it fit into the 21st century, because it was built for the 20th century. And that's one of the things that we're looking at as we go through with our consultants, with what we're working with. And it's talking about working in Research Park East, working in Research Park West, working in different corridors that we would consider to be corridors that need to be picked up and need to be rejuvenated to make the whole park a vital, successful economic engine that it always has been. Is part of our change, and everything changes as time goes by. Things change, and over the 50 years there has been change in the park, and over that 50 years we've come to realization that we need to do things a little bit differently. We are going through all the stakeholders right now. We are probably a third or halfway through talking to stakeholders. This is the people who own property in the park, who have companies in the park, workers in the park, working through all the stakeholders to make sure that they understand what we're looking at doing in the future, working with the Research Park Board, working with the Planning Commission, to make sure that we come up with a plan that really is a good plan. In September, October timeframe, we should be rolling out that plan and taking it to Planning Commission where we can actually make some of the changes that we're talking about. Some of the changes are more density in Research Park East. Some of the changes are keeping the campus feel in Research Park West. Some of the changes are adding some retail quarters throughout Research Park East and West, and making it where you can have actually park-friendly retail in there. So as we add that, I think that we end up with a better park, and we don't mind being the second largest research park or the largest. We just want to be, quite frankly, be the best. And if we can have the best park that there is in the world, then we'll have something that we'll be very proud of, and that's where we'll be going. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. Now to agenda item number 8, Huntsville utility items. 8A is a resolution authorizing the approval to purchase outside services to make improvements to the Fleet Maintenance Building, Papa Romeo 0121-9609, brought by Utilities. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Robinson. Mr. Gertis.
Thank you, Mr. Culver. Approval of this item would allow for the purchase of outside services to make improvements to our fleet building at the Chase facility at an estimated cost of $38,900.
Thank you, Mr. Gertis. Any further discussion, council members? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 8B is a resolution authorizing the approval to purchase an electric test board for the electric meter shop, Papa Romeo 1021977, brought by Utilities. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. Mr. Gertis.
The approval of this item will allow for the purchase of a 3-phase electric meter system. This is a testing mechanism which will allow for reduced time required to test electric meters. And as I understand, the piece of equipment will be able to test meters in the field at an estimated cost of $41,505.
Thank you, Mr. Gertis. Any further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. Thank you, Mr. Gertis. We're now to agenda item number 9, board appointments. 9A is board appointments to be voted on. 9A1 is a resolution to appoint Lyle Boyles to the Community Development Citizens Advisory Council for a term to expire April 14, 2018, nominated June 23, 2016, brought by Dr. Robinson. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second.
Second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion. Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. Council members, are there any board appointment nominations? Hearing none, we're at agenda item number 10, approval of expenditures. 10A is a resolution authorizing expenditures for payment. Dr. Showers.
Mr. President, I move that we would pay $15,934,607.74.
Second.
Second by, the motion has been made by Dr. Showers for approval of expenditures at $15,934,607.74. Second by Councilman Cleen. Discussion. Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. Dr. Showers, is there a Finance Committee report, sir?
I'm going to ask our Finance Director, Ms. Sargent, to come, and she would just kind of brief us. I was not here at the mid-year report where we are as it relates to where we were last year at this time, and I asked her if she would come and just share briefly where we are as it relates to the city of Huntsville.
Thank you. Ms. Sargent.
As discussed at the last meeting, our revenue for this year should end approximately 4.5% higher than last year's actuals if we stay on track, and approximately 1.5% higher than the budget. However, our expenses will track slightly higher, also absorbing the majority of this, so we should end approximately where we expected when we went out with our budget for 2016. Additionally, another item that Dr. Showers asked me to look at was the Huntsville economy versus national. I also looked into the Southeast. our unemployment numbers are tracking similar to the national averages as well as the Southeast, between 4.8% and 5%. So we're right where we should be. In Huntsville, having such a diverse economy allows for us to have a good stability during this time. And between now and the end of the year, things that will continue to affect both local and national economy will continue to be the election, the Brexit vote that just occurred in the UK, as well as the job forecast. So,
Thank you, Ms. Sargent. Any further discussion? Thank you, Ms. Sargent. We're now at agenda item number 11, communications from the mayor. Mayor Battle, you have the floor, sir.
Mr. President, I think we have some people here from Causeway Huntsville who are the part of the last Connect Class 18. Is that y'all? Would y'all please stand? We want to thank you. They have donated money to the engineering department for Park with a Purpose, and that's a community impact project from Connect Class 18. At 4,600 square feet, this will be the city's smallest park that we have ever done, and we want to thank y'all for funding the smallest park that we have ever done. You will go down in Ripley's books, believe it or not, as having the smallest park. But the park is located off the alleyway that connects Washington and Jefferson Street, and we want to say thank you for your work and thank you for your efforts. It's really neat to see people give back to community and make this community better. Thank you so much.
And thank you all so kindly, and I just want to throw my 2 cents in. Good things come in small packages.
Good.
Thank you. We're now at agenda.
Also, wanted to remind you, and Ms. McKee reminded me also to remind everybody, the Pokemon craze is beyond my generation. We don't understand it, but we're glad to see it out there, getting people walking the streets and doing everything. But there's one place that the Pokemon craze should probably not go on, and that's in your cemeteries. We've had a number of people out in the cemeteries and putting Pokemon, playing Pokemon out there, and that's one of the places that I like for people to kind of respect and leave alone. So just to pass that along, I think we put out a press release on that today, and we would like to just ask people just to try to enjoy Pokemon, go throughout downtown, around our parks and everything else, but leave the cemeteries for places of respect. Also tonight, Green Street Market is happening right now. It's been a big night for Green Street Market. We have music on the square, and tomorrow is Food Truck Friday, where we'll have food trucks from 5 to 10 o'clock in Big Spring Park. And Monday, we'll have concert in the parks, Jedi and Dirt Circus, who must be very good groups. I'm not sure I know them, though. They will be playing Monday night, so everybody please come out and enjoy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. Now, agenda item number 12, communications from council members. Dr. Showers, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to just say tonight how much I appreciate the citizens who resides in District 1. We had our annual town meeting on last evening. Very well attended. I want to thank the department persons who were able to come. We had a full house of people, and we had all the city persons who could respond was there to answer questions. And of course, I just want to thank all of them for being able to attend the meeting. I would be remiss, I would not say at the start of the meeting, I announced that the mayor was not present. He had a procedure. Otherwise, he would have been there. I'm looking at Joy McKee. Do you know what she brought to the town meeting? A popcorn popper. And I think that went over more than anything. Thank you, Joy, and all of the other department heads that were there to answer questions. My second point that I want to present tonight, I really don't know where to start. There's been so much going on locally and nationally. First, let me express my deep condolences to the families of the 5 Dallas police officers who lost their lives protecting the lives of others. These brave officers died living up to the creed of the police nationwide to protect and serve. For their supreme sacrifice, I, as well as the nation, will forever be grateful. To the families of Anton Sterling and Philento Castile, I, as well as the nation, grieve with you for your unnecessary loss at the hand of officers who do not represent the majority of our police officers nationwide. It is my prayer that justice will prevail along with reform in police recruiting, training, and community policing. And hopefully, yes, hopefully, you can find some comfort in that righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. It's simple to know to do right and yet refuse to do right, to cast a stone and hide your hand. Right here in our great city, we have some problems in doing the right thing all the time. It is not hard to do the right thing all the time. You must want to do it and then do it right. When we look at our own police department here in the great city of Huntsville, Alabama, we have some problems there that needs to be addressed. We just need to address them. When 3 zip codes, all located where the majority of black citizens reside, received the largest amount of traffic citations issued by HPD as compared to the zip codes of white majority, we have a problem. When roadblocks are set up in the majority white zip codes, and they are allowed to call someone to come and pick up their vehicles. Whereas when roadblocks are set up in the minority zip codes, their vehicles are impounded. We have a problem when roads in the majority black zip codes are patched and not repaved. For over 20 years, many of you were there last night when citizens came forward to express that they have had streets that have nothing been done. We have a problem when we know the northern part of our city go lacking in terms of beautification and economic development. We have a problem. The fact that we have problems is well known. The question is, what are we going to do about it? 2 days ago, and I'm talking about my town meeting that I held the other night, on Tuesday night, the administration acknowledged several major projects in the works for the northern section of our city. And there's more to come. The citizens of District 1 look forward to the completion of those projects. Yet we can do more, and that is the challenge for those of us, the city council, and this mayor and this administration, who have been entrusted by you, the great citizens of this city, to do the right thing, to do more to bring about a quality of life that all citizens of Huntsville can be proud of. Yet, let's be honest with each other. It won't happen unless we change. All of us got to change. A popular songwriter summed it up in these words. I'm talking about the man in the mirror. He got to change his way. Yes, the man in the mirror. We have to hold those endowed with the public trust accountable. Ms. Jackie Reed. Ms. Reed, let me be the first to apologize to you. All you have been doing is trying to hold us accountable. For that, you ought to be commended. Doing the right thing is not always easy, but it's always right. 3 weeks ago, I was out of town, and I called a fellow councilman to consider voting in favor of a reconsideration vote to allow me the opportunity to discuss my concerns pertaining to the city's award of a contract that was closed in language that was not clear as to what the vote entailed. I am aware that this council failed to make that concession. If the tables were turned, I would have done that for any one of you if asked. Yet, because of pressure I'm aware of, you failed to do that. I'm also aware that comments were made by the mayor and the city attorney that were inappropriate and without merit. I observe this city with the utmost honesty and integrity, and I find any comment by anyone to be a problem when it made to make it appear that I have done something wrong. I want to attempt to make it clear tonight. To smear my good name and character is a problem. I want to say to the mayor and this city attorney, I want you to hear me clearly. I don't have to be careful in what I say or do, because whatever I do or say, it's not for self-gain or glory or to benefit without merit. My foes are friends. I want that to be clear, crystal clear. I have an obligation to the citizens of this great city, and especially to the city's citizens and businesses of District 1 to fight for their rights, to be treated fairly and equally. I have personally visited many of the businesses in District 1 to discuss their issues. Reliable Towing is one of those businesses. The president of that business, Mr. W.D. Strong, expressed to me his concern that the police department, in concert with the city of Huntsville, was determined to award the impound bid to another company that was not qualified. I assured him that we would adhere to the guidelines and awards to the most responsive and responsible bidder based on facts that he stated to me after the bid was awarded. He feels that the city, based upon a biased recommendation from the police department, awarded the bid to a company that submitted a bid that was non-responsive and irresponsible. Therefore, his company filed a protest against the award. I feel that we owe that company a full and fair assessment of the facts to assure him, his company, and this community that no irregularities or compromises to the bid requirement occurred, and that the bid was awarded to the most responsive and responsible bidder. Therefore, based on comments made by the city attorney pertaining to the bid submitted by the recommended bidder, I don't believe that he should be the arbitrator of the facts or the point person for selecting an outside attorney. It is my recommendation tonight that the council approve the president to secure an outside attorney to determine the facts of the bid award as to whether it was done fairly and without bias. As to the issue surrounding the incidence of traffic citations, diversity of force, judicial interference, as the citizen constitutional right in the northern section of town, it is my recommendation that this city take heed to the facts and recommendations of the Justice Department, report on the Ferguson Police Department to be proactive rather than reactive. Let me close with these sayings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. In the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. The question is, do we have the desire to do right, the strength to do right things when evil is present? The Apostle Paul stated, when I would do good, evil is always present. It is my challenge tonight to this council and this administration to dare to be different, to live up to the saying, one city, one vision. It's enough for everybody. No citizen, no business, no child left behind. Thank you.
And thank you, Dr. Showers. And a lot has been said there. I certainly am more than willing to get with legal to see if there were to be something else that we can do as it relates to that. I know that the bid contract has been submitted to an outside firm, and if we need to revisit that, that's something I'm sure that this body could agree upon at a later time. Thank you, Dr. Showers.
Mr. President, do we need to have a conversation about this at this time? We had the outside firm look at it and look through the entire process that we went through. We started off with procurement, procuring this contract. They went through it. Legal has been through it. Every department in this city has been through it, looked at this. Mr. Al Jimerson, upon time of protest, was asked to look at this. Al's in the audience today and has given us a letter of his findings from the protest. And, you know, just the facts are that the process was carried through. The process was carried through right, and our officials did what they were supposed to do. We looked at this one very carefully. We know that from 4 years ago there was a lot of controversy on this one. We looked at it from every which side that we could to make sure that we were doing this in the most meticulous manner that we could do it. We did that to make sure that it was fair. Do we have the desire to do what's right? We do have the desire to do what's right. We have done what is right. And we as a city have done exactly what the law calls for. We have done what the process calls for. We have made sure that we do what is right. And that's it. Doesn't matter who your friends are, who are not friends, anything else. You do not win contracts on friendship. You do win contracts on the way that the law is set up and the way the procurement is set up in the city. And that is what we have done as a city.
Thank you, Mayor. And
Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Showers. My comment is, and this is the first I've seen of this letter. I know that this particular firm is a very venerated firm. However, I am certainly going to need time to personally read this and digest it. I don't know if my colleagues have gotten access to it, but this is the point that I'm making, that you can't just bring this to us. Well, I'm going to speak for myself. Can't bring it to me at the last minute at a council meeting and expect for me to be able to respond to it. I'm not by any means questioning the veracity of this. I know this law firm is a great law firm, but I'm certainly going to need more time to look at this. I'm going to
I understand, Mr. President, and we don't mean to bring something to you at the last minute. Quite honestly, the protest is an internal protest within the processes of the city. The protest was brought in. We put it with an outside attorney. The outside attorney has brought it back in and told us, as the internal process of the city, that this that it was done properly. That just ends the protest process. That's why it was not brought to council, because it really isn't a council action. It's an action within the city and within the system that we have set up as our procurement system in the city. So that's why it was not brought in. Now that it's been brought up to ask for a separate outside counsel, that would be why we would provide the letters. I think we've sent you emails saying that we did get it. That we did get a decision by the arbitrator that this was done in the right manner and fashion, and I'd leave you all the time that you need to study that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Battle. Dr. Showers.
Mr. President, obviously, there was nobody listening when I made my earlier comments about doing right. One, it was inappropriate for this attorney to do what he did. The council has the authority tonight to get its own unbiased attorney. Now, for those of you who read the bid that was approved, if you'll be honest to do what's right, and to hear statements made that righteousness was done, if that was the case, it's no way that a submission like this that was non-responsive, not responsible, and it was approved because statements are made that friends, relationships that existed with people on the inside. And I'm still asking tonight that the city council get another attorney firm to take the information that was given to the attorney, Wilmer and Lee, PA. If anybody that's in law would have the information that was in the bid and see, I'm just going to give you a few things. Now, I know some of y'all read it, some of you didn't read it. When this bid was awarded, the company didn't even have ownership to property. When you have a bid that you submit for $1, that is not responsive. It's no way that you would have approved any other bid across this city. That's not responsive or responsible. The law clearly says that we ought to award the bid to the most responsive and responsible bidder. That didn't happen. So you go out and get you a lawyer that's going to do what you want them to do. And that is what has happened. And I'm saying tonight, Mr. President, I want you to solicit another firm
and
based on the facts that we have.
And Dr. Showers, I would like to say this without, I believe that the Wilmer and Lee firm is a reputable firm. That's not to say that we cannot get a second opinion, but I don't want to shed any negative light on them. If this body, if we choose to, we certainly can do that. In fact, and I want to clarify something, that the city council does have the authority to do whatever this body elects to do. Now, there could be consequences, and we understand that, but we are able to do whatever we choose to do as a body. We can certainly revisit this. I want to have an opportunity to review this, but I don't want to shed any bad light on this particular law firm. But it doesn't preclude us from looking at and getting a second opinion. And from what I'm hearing from you is that that is your desire. So we will certainly revisit that, and we can certainly do that. But again, no negative light on this particular company, and I'll look forward to getting with council members at some subsequent time, maybe after you all have had an opportunity to review this, and perhaps we can decide as to whether or not we want to bring in another firm. It's not uncommon for the city attorney to farm out this. If I could take you all back to a few years ago, I did the same thing. I went and got a law firm to look at a particular item. And when I say that to those men and women in procurement and finance, it's not a reflection on the work that you're doing. This kind of goes to some degree beyond the scope of what you have done. I know that you all have followed the guidelines, but the question remains is that to put a fresh set of eyes on it, to review it. So we want to make that clear. It's not one of those things where our employees have intentionally and willfully done something wrong. That's not what I want you to walk away from here with tonight. It is one of those things that this particular body, if it chooses to, just may require a second opinion. Just like if you were getting a surgical procedure done, you might get a second opinion. Doesn't mean that that particular doctor is a bad doctor. It's just a matter of a second opinion. So we'll certainly talk about that. Dr. Robinson.
Would it be appropriate for me to ask a question of Mr. Showers
If you,
regarding this? Or you, Mr. Culver, I'm just interested in knowing why someone thinks we need a second opinion. What is it about this opinion and this law firm that concerns people, other than the fact that the opinion rendered is not the one that you want?
well, let me say this. There's not a question about the law firm. It would be a matter of whether or not this body chooses a second opinion. And I want to make that clear, that this law firm is a very reputable law firm.
Then why are we asking for another opinion?
Because if this body chooses to do that, it would be no different than the example that I did give as it relates to getting a procedure done. If you elect to get a second opinion, you know, that would be your choice. It's not to say that somebody, you know, is not capable. That's not what I want people to walk away with. What we're saying here is that if this body chooses to, we have that discretion to get a second opinion. And that's one of the things that we will revisit. And I'm going to encourage all of us to take this document and maybe go through it more in-depthly. And I haven't had a time to do it. It has just been given to me. And once we do that, then we can decide as to what direction that we will take with this as a body.
I would respectfully suggest that that would be a waste of taxpayer money.
Mr. President, since the councilwoman asked me a question, I'd like to respond to the question that she raised to me in terms of why I am not accepting. I'm going to ask her, the original bid package that came to this council, did you read it?
I did. And I believe
Now-
you did also. You were presiding that night and signed it.
That's not, please. The, anybody on this council has a right to, first of all, I will say this, Jeannie, the city attorney was inappropriate in this case. He is the attorney for the city of Huntsville. but he does not decide issues in a contract. If that's the case, why did you go out and get Wilmer and Lee? Secondly, I'm concerned.
Would you like for me to respond to that, Mr.
Just
Showers?
let me finish, if you don't mind. As attorney, you don't decide who should get contracts and who shouldn't. It is not your job to identify what's in the contract. And you took the liberty to go and pick a firm that was going to do what you asked them to do. And I'm not taking away from the firm. And I'm aware of this firm. I'm well aware of this firm. But the council has the authority to get its own attorney. Now, when you take a document and give it to a firm and tell them this is what you want, that's what they're going to do. And you did that.
No.
And let me just,
Wait a minute, Mr. President.
And Dr. Showers, if you'll be so kind, we're being aired publicly, so if we maybe could not, make accusations, let's hash it out if you don't mind, sir, not to violate the Sunshine Law, but if we could just hash this out. I know that Mr. Riley would be more than happy to meet with you in your office perhaps to discuss it. We don't want to discredit anyone, even our colleagues on the council, but you are correct, sir. We do have that discretion as a body if we choose to go back and revisit this, and that's what I'm ascertaining after tonight in an attempt to determine whether or not this is something that we should go back and revisit. And if we choose to do that, sir, we can get another firm to review it, if that is pleasing with this council and pleasing with you, sir.
I will ask that you do this in full council session. I think that's the only right way to talk about this issue. If you're going to talk about this, this was done under the full purview of the city. It was done under purchasing with the city. It was awarded under our purchasing contract and the purchasing laws of the state of Alabama. And I would ask that y'all continue to maintain this. And if you're going to have a conversation about this, have it an open and full session of the city council so that the public can understand why we are pushing for this.
When you got the attorney, when your attorney went and solicited this company, it wasn't done before the public. It was done outside of the preview of the public.
This was done.
And I want to say this. I'm president of the city council, and I'm strongly recommending, and we're not doing anything to violate the Sunshine Law, but when we start getting into personal accusations, I think it's only appropriate for us to discuss those more privately, Mayor and Dr. Showers, and then we can come back publicly and discuss the merits of whatever we need to do as it relates to this.
May I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
I do very much appreciate the offer to allow the impugning of my character to be carried on in private. But I will respectfully waive that privilege, and I am here and I am able to withstand any such accusations and comments about my character. I am certainly distressed that Mr. Showers, Councilman Showers, feels that way, but I stand behind what I did in this situation. He clearly does not agree with what I did, and that is certainly his right. But I am very satisfied and proud of the integrity of my office as we provided legal counsel in this matter. We did everything we could to make sure that this was a fair bid process. We went above and beyond the call of duty. There is no protest procedure that is written that had to be provided, but there was a protest that was issued, and in an effort to be fair, we did something which was not required, which is we did obtain an outside firm, a highly respected outside firm, and asked them to render an independent evaluation of these issues. I did not, and I resent the inference that I instructed that outside counsel to render a particular result. That did not occur. So we did provide that information. The report has been presented and it is just prepared, and we stand by that as an extra effort to make sure that this process was fair and above board for all concerned.
Thank you, Counselor.
President.
Dr. Showers.
My final request to my fellow council members, if you're so strong about what has happened, I would ask you to give privilege, and this council can do that, to get another firm. Someone has said they don't feel there's a need for another firm. If anybody on this council would ask for a second opinion, I would support the wishes. I wouldn't go against that. And this is all I'm asking tonight, is that we get a second attorney to look at the facts that I have. All of you got the same facts I've got. The things that's in that bid and the approval process. And we're talking about doing what's right. We have a lot of history. I mean, you got one firm in this city, and you've done everything you can to eliminate that one firm. And then to say, in a way, to insinuate that I have a vested interest in that company. I told you tonight, I want to do what's right. And if you're not afraid of the truth, then you shouldn't have a problem with a second look. If you ask for a second look, I'll give you a second look. And think nothing about it. We've always had a gentlemanly and lady agreement. If a council person asks, I don't ever remember turning down a request like that. And if the second a firm comes up and say that the approval process was in line, I don't have a problem with that. But I will give you that opportunity. That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Dr. Showers. So, to put this to rest for tonight, I'm encouraging everyone to review the documents that we've received, and we will make a decision as it relates to a second opinion. And that's without regards to any assassination of character for anybody, for Dr. Showers, for our city attorney, for this impeccable law firm. We're not going to do that. We're just going to move forward with what this body elects to do as a group. So having said that, thank you all. Mr. Russell, we're still at communications from the council. Councilman, Mr. Mark Russell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to mention that Dr. Sonny Hereford passed away, and was very sad about his passing. That was a man that really walked the walk, and I'm going to miss him, and I'm glad the school system is recognizing him next week with ribbon cutting at the new school named after him. Rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Dr. Robinson.
Work on the South Parkway continues to, on the overpasses, continues to go on. There were some significant changes that took place this week that I would like to make note of. Traffic signals have been deactivated and removed from the South Parkway intersections with Boulevard South and Charlotte Drive. At those intersections, through traffic movements along the parkway will remain on the northbound and southbound lanes, but through traffic movements across the parkway will be removed for Boulevard South and Charlotte Drive. The Boulevard South and Charlotte Drive intersections with the parkway will become right in, right out only. Those traffic signaling changes and traffic flow changes will be permanent. In fact, the way it's configured now is very much what it will be like once the overpasses go in, so the residents will need to get used to that. The changes apply both to the main cross streets on the west side of the parkway and to the cross street stubs on the east side of the parkway. The crossover lanes near Donato's and Angels Island will remain open until shortly before traffic is switched to the new service roads, unless it becomes necessary to close them sooner. The good news is, and I've traveled the parkway in the mornings now twice and twice in the afternoons, the traffic is flowing much more smoothly through those areas as a result of those signaling changes. The bad news is that it is a little bit harder to get to businesses on the west side of the parkway. Access to those businesses in Rosie's Plaza and in Main Street South is available by going through Bird Springs and coming around the back through Benaroya, and also at the Angels Island and Donato's cut-throughs. We're working on getting the Benaroya extension opened as soon as possible, but right now it looks like that will probably be the fall, and that will give easy access to Main Street South from Martin Road, and so that will be a huge relief at that point. But for right now, I would ask everybody to really make an effort to patronize those businesses. It's possible to get to them, and we've got to intentionally make an effort to patronize them. There are some great restaurants in there, some great shops, great meeting facilities, and we need to help support those businesses during this construction. It will be wonderful when the construction's done. There will be some great revitalization along the South Parkway. Many thanks to Paige Coburn and Dennis Madsen for putting together a meeting for me with representatives from Main Street, Alabama. We had a great conversation with them, got to do a tour of the area. They really are excited about the vision for that area and potentially doing some work with us. But unless we can keep those businesses alive through this process, there won't be anybody around to work with once it's over. So we really, really would ask everybody to make a concerted effort to work with that new traffic flow and patronize those businesses on the west side of the Parkway. And then finally, I am excited next week to have the opportunity on Tuesday, July the 19th, to tour the new Jemison and McNair buildings, and have been asked to extend that invitation to my fellow council members. If you'd like to join Dr. Wardynski and I on July 19th at 1:30, we're going to be meeting at the Mertz Center and then be visiting Jemison and McNair. It'll be exciting to see those two properties. And then the ribbon cutting for the Sunny Harford Elementary School will be next Thursday. Another very exciting opportunity to remember the legacy of a man who is an icon here in Huntsville. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Mr. Clean.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, there were some interesting things that have happened over the last couple of weeks that I had a chance to attend and participate in. Unfortunately, Joanne Keat, who had been the first female exalted ruler of the Huntsville Elks Lodge, passed away. And she was a person who was very strong-willed, and she was given credit by many corners of keeping the Elks Lodge alive and thriving when it was kind of having some challenges. And she will certainly be a leader in this community who will be missed. Also, I had a chance to participate in neighborhood meetings for the McThormore Acres Association on Monday of this week, and past Thursday, the Citywide Neighborhood Association. And Dr. Robinson, let me say that Lyle Voiles is certainly someone who I share your admiration and respect for. Similar to the Citywide Community Watch Organization, the Beautification Board, the City Neighborhood Association, Council of Neighborhoods. They do so much. They get citizens involved, working with their city government, and the expenditures that we would put out for these organizations is just so minuscule compared to the benefits that we receive and the bridging that goes on between the city and residents of the neighborhood. But that was a meeting that I wanted to attend and very much appreciate the great work that Lyle Voiles does. Also had a chance to tour the new natatorium with several of the other council members, and that is coming along. It is, among other things, going to be very friendly for those with disabilities. The walk-in pool that's being constructed, especially with the fact that part of the design work was done with input from those with disabilities. And that's going to be a great positive for people in the community, as well as a great shot in the arm for the southwest Huntsville, Triana Village area of the city. Last Friday night was a very solemn occasion. Myself, and I saw Councilman Russell, Mayor Battle, Councilor Riley, Mr. Hamilton in attendance. And with my back issues I did not stay for the entire march, but I had a chance to participate in it. And it gave recognition and concern for 2 African Americans that were shot prematurely and their life ended prematurely, as well as 5 police officers that were murdered in Dallas. And the fact that this city came in and there was diversity and there was concerns about this whole issue, we had people coming together and participating. And that was something where I looked around, and it's one of those times that even after all the years I've been on the council, I really was in awe to see the way this city pulled together. And we do have our challenges, we do have our problems, and I guess we're the people that deal with the problems up here, but there is so much good that goes on in this city, and sometimes you gotta step back to look at that. And how many cities in this country would like to have been like Huntsville, Alabama, in the recognition that we gave to this most solid issue? Next Monday, I'll be having my monthly town meeting, 6 o'clock at the library, and again, everyone's invited, very informal. The only agenda we have is whatever people want to talk about. And the only rule we have is no one, including me, is allowed to wear a tie. So it's very informal. Don't care what district you live in, you're welcome to come, very informal, and I learn a lot, and hopefully we're able to do some good for some folks. Mr. President, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Dr. Showers, I do want to commend you on an outstanding town hall meeting. The administrative branch was really well attended by your community, and it speaks volumes to how you work and fight for your community. So again, congratulations to you with that. And I just want to kind of ditto some of the same things that have been said. Huntsville is only a day or so away from an incident occurring. In fact, Chief McMurray, and you don't have to address this now, sir, but this is just something, food for thought for you. I know in recent times, what I've experienced vicariously through some of your officers is that you've had some very close calls with having to shoot someone who maybe is mentally ill. If I remember correctly, there have been a couple of instances over the last couple of weeks. I don't know if that information is something that could be shared with the general public. Check with legal if you elect to do that to make sure. But just to let people know in Huntsville that we are trying to work to keep Huntsville from becoming a Ferguson in Minnesota and other places. And the unique thing about that and what is important is communication. So if we can work on the front end to prevent that, it would be great. We don't want to wait until something happens here before we start taking those positive steps. If we need more sensitivity training, whatever the case might be, I can assure you with this budget coming up, Chief, that we'll find the monies for you for whatever you need, sir. Thank you so kindly.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir. Dr. Showers.
Another point I'd like to make.
Yes, sir. Dr. Showers, you may, sir.
Glad Mr. Hamilton has returned. Mr. Hamilton, go to the mic. Most of you are aware that, and thank you, Ms. Robinson, the Jemison McNair will be opening for tour. If you notice on Pulaski Pike, there is a construction crew that is putting in a sidewalk. I am gravely concerned about that sidewalk being so close to the street. Now, most sidewalks has a distance between the curb and the sidewalk. Now, the children that's going to be walking up and down Pulaski Pike on the sidewalk, they're right on the street. We have no barrier, no fence. It's really too close to the street. Mayor, have you had a chance to look at it?
Mr. Davis has looked at it for us, and he's been out there and surveyed it to make sure that it meets all the requirements necessary and that it's a safe sidewalk. Go ahead, Mr. Davis.
Yes, council members, the sidewalk is being constructed for the school on Pulaski Pike. The right-of-way is very narrow, and there's some topography challenges on the east side of Pulaski. Our minimum sidewalk width is 4 feet. We increase it to the maximum. It's 5 feet minimum in all locations.
Wait, excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off.
No, sir.
I mean cut you off, Mr. Davis. The width of that sidewalk is not 5 feet.
Yes, sir. That is what is in the plans and spec. Our city standard is 4
Okay.
feet.
Would you meet me out at the
Would be happy to, sir. Would be
But-
happy to.
But that is not my problem, though. The problem is that sidewalk is right on the curb. Cars are gonna be passing, students are gonna be walking, and you're gonna have some accidents.
And I understand that. From practicality standpoint, we have 2 different cross sections you'll see throughout the city. Most subdivisions, you'll see a foot of grass between the curb and the start of the sidewalk. A lot of our pedestrian facilities along minor collectors will be from the back of curb, so the sidewalk starts right at the edge of curb, and we take it as wide as we can within the given right-of-way. So we've got both type of cross sections. The Pulaski Pike sidewalks under construction is no different than a lot of other places within the city.
Well-
And the other consideration that was taken into account for that area that the sidewalk is going in, there's traffic signals going up for the school crossing zone that will reduce the speed limit during school sessions in the mornings and afternoons, and there'll be crossing guards. So the speed limit through there should be very slow during time that school children are either coming or going. So that was taken into consideration of the safety of being able to put the 5-foot sidewalk against the curb and fit it within the existing right-of-way.
I don't know of any sidewalk in this city, whether in a school zone or in just a regular residential zone, that is like that. I'm just surprised that that was even approved.
I'll be happy to meet with you up there,
Be
sir.
right on the street like that.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna get students run over, students gonna get hit, students gonna get pushed out into traffic. I mean, they right on the traffic.
I think what we have built is safe, given the other parameters that will be in place along Pulaski during school sessions with the lights, the crossing guards, the reduced speed limit during those times, and the signage that will be there. I'm happy to meet you on site and show you that it's a 5-foot width, it's a foot wider than our minimum, and then also show you some areas that we have those same sidewalks. A lot of them in our downtown area, a lot are along Governor's Drive.
Yeah,
So
but you don't have that where students are moving back and forth.
yeah, but we
don't
do have
that.
and I agree with that. There may be some in Whitesburg near Whitesburg Elementary that's that way, but we do have those where there's a very high pedestrian access with high vehicular traffic. But we think we had traffic engineering look at it, engineering, our consultant that helped us with that, and we think that was the best solution given the room we had to work with. We think it's safe. That's why we made it a foot wider than our minimum to give the children as much pathway to traverse back and forth. And then traffic engineering is putting up the traffic signals. If you look along Pulaski, both south of the school and north of the school, you'll see the foundations and poles are in place that will have flashing lights, and you'll have crossing guards. So the vehicular traffic speed will be reduced from what the regular posted speed limit is during school hours. And then the extra width of the sidewalk, we think we've created as safe a condition as we can.
Let me ask you this, and I'll let you go.
Yes, sir.
Is it any type of protective opportunity that we can put on the street side of the sidewalk that students won't get out into the traffic, whether they're going 1 mile an hour or 50 miles an hour?
You know, we can certainly look at that. We can look at some handrail, and we'll certainly get traffic engineering to look at that as an extra protective measure. But as I said, we made the sidewalk as wide as we could through there, and we looked at that. And it was a concern of ours. We wanted to make sure that we could control the speeds with crossing guards and the school zone lights that you'll see flashing way before you get to the school, and even after you pass the school if you're headed north, and the same if you're coming south in the morning and afternoons. And we gave the maximum width we could, but we can look at other measures, absolutely. And happy to meet you on site.
One thing, as you go to your seat, you're gonna have children walking before the school. You're going to have children coming from Stringfield and Winchester Road. The school is not at Winchester. The school is not at Stringfield. But you're going to have children walking from that distance to the school. Cars are going to be passing. Children are going to be children.
Yes, sir.
They're going to play. And somebody's going to get out in that street. I'm delighted to hear you say you're going to look at some type of railing on the street side. And
Look,
then, Mayor and Mr. Hamilton, who owns that property that is on the south side of the complex, the school property there, the school?
I'm not sure. I can research that and contact you with that information, but at this time, I don't have that information with me, but I can find out, let you know.
Mr. Hamilton, you do?
No.
Mayor.
No, sir.
Happy to get that information for you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Showers.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir, Dr. Clean. Mr. Clean.
I'm a doctor, I just have a master's, but I worked hard enough to get it. This is sort of a housekeeping thing, but I wanted to ask if we could get something done once and for all about our infamous city council parking places that we have. We're asked to come down to all these downtown events or to participate in them. Concerts in the park is, the food trucks and all these other events and everything. But a lot of times, and of course, things downtown are popular, and we're glad to have that, but our parking places are kind of taken away. And I think the Transportation Department's tried a couple of these little gadgets to try to work, to block off the spaces, and they don't seem to work. But is there a way we could get something done, once and for all, just so we would have a parking place to come to for these events? Because through the popularity of things downtown, it's just a lot of times we'll come, and we're out of luck.
Yes, and Councilman Clean, I did speak with Mr. Tommy Brown, and he's experimenting with several things that hopefully will work. But I don't know if he's here tonight, if you want him to address that.
He's already spoke to him beforehand,
Okay.
but I just thought we needed to
Yes,
see
sir,
if we could resolve it
he
once
is
and
working
for all.
on that. Yes, sir, he is working on that. Thank you, sir. One quick thing, I do have a town hall meeting scheduled for Monday, July 18th, 2016 at 6:30. This is at Stonegate Community Clubhouse, 104 Mantle Drive Northwest. Although it says Madison, Alabama, it is within the city limits of Huntsville. And Mayor, as always, sir, I thank you in advance for allowing your department heads and other staff to show up to address those concerns in our community. So again, Monday, July 18th, 2016 at 6:30, Stonegate Community Clubhouse, 104 Mantle Drive Northwest, Madison, Alabama. Thank you, sir. We're now at agenda item number 14. Council members, these items we will take up at the next regular schedule, 13. Unfinished business items for action. Resolution number 16-360, authorizing the demolition of an unsafe building constituting a public nuisance located at 101 Whitney Avenue Northeast, Huntsville, Alabama. This was postponed from May 26, 2016 at our regular council meeting.
Move to approve the resolution.
Motion has been made by Mr. Russell, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion, Ms. Jordan.
Yes, council having a little technical difficulty. Let's see if I can get my mouse to cooperate. This resolution will authorize the demolition of an unsafe building constituting a public nuisance located at 101 Whitney Avenue Northeast. The property was initially inspected by staff on March the 8th, 2016, with further review on March 9th, 2016 by an independent contractor who determined the structure was not economically feasible to repair. It scored an 85 out of 100. 50% or more, a score of 50% or more is deemed to be not feasible for repair. 49% or less, it is feasible to repair. An official notice was sent by certified and first-class mail on the 15th of March, requesting demolition and removal of the structure by the 14th of April. No action was taken by the owners or interested parties, and we're now requesting authorization to abate this nuisance.
Thank you.
We did check today with our building inspection department.
Yes.
And no progress has been made in the form of a building permit. I did hear from the gentleman who is interested in purchasing the property. Mr. Crutchville might be here.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. We'll hear from him in just a second, council members, if that pleases you guys. Okay. Okay. And sir, if you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Michael Crutchfield with the Crutchfield Company, 7 Old Cold Place, Southeast, Gurley, Alabama, 35748.
Thank you, sir.
I've been having an issue. I need to get an extension. I've been trying to get clear title, and there's a lot of issues with this property, and I did all that I can do. So I would like to request an extension. I've got a letter from the title company. As a potential owner of the property, I've done everything that I can do.
And Mr. Russell, I know that is in your district, sir, and perhaps you have met with him. Is there any comment you have on that?
Yes, I met with Mr. Crutchwell. If the council, for some reason, gave an extension last time, if that's what the council wants to do, it's fine with me. The neighborhood has asked me many times to start enforcing the law and, to get community development out there, so I'm kind of torn. My wish is to do what the neighborhood has requested. If we gave time to Mr. Crutchfield or whoever, and if we want to give another 30 days, that's fine with me, but the neighborhood really wants to see us take action, so I was disappointed in the council's action last time, but I'm willing to delay again for 30 days if that's what y'all want to do.
Okay. And thank you.
President.
Thank you, Dr. Showers.
Can you assure the council that you're gonna make some progress on it?
I can get proof of funds. I can do all of that from the bank. But I've been having an issue with the previous owner, and her daughter is her power of attorney. So even before the last council meeting 30 days ago, I've got a signed contract, went through the process, got Valley Title going through, and they're having issues finding to be able to get clear title. And, I don't know if you guys knew the case way back, but there was issue with the owner previously, so that's where we are right now.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Dr. Showers.
Councilman Russell is correct. I serve in a city in that neighborhood, and they are highly concerned about eradicating that eyesore. Do you think that if we give you another 30 days, it's going to be any different?
Well, to be honest, sir, they've got the attorneys going through. I talked to Valley Title Monday, and they assured me that there were so many issues with this property that, I'm about to give up. I mean, it's been 30 plus days, and it shouldn't take this long to get title, but I guess by the owner previous owner being an attorney, there was so much tied into this property that they can't get to the bottom of it right now, so.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir. Mr. Clean?
Just throwing an idea out on the table. We've had some business licenses that we've had issues with in the past, and the city took action. But what the city did with in the case of Randy Taylor, and I don't know if it's been done with Ms. Sargent yet, we would basically approve the termination of the business license, or in this case, approve the condemnation. But at the same time, we would give the department head the authority or the leeway to delay for a short period of time if he or she, in this case, Ms. Jordan, if she thought that progress was being made and wasn't just going to be going indefinite. I don't know if that would work. I don't know if that would work with the neighborhood or with this gentleman, but the idea is if next Tuesday, Ms. Jordan said, time to take it down, it would come down because the council if the council were to approve a motion to give her the authority to do what she sees fit or to, demolish the building.
And-
So I'm just throwing that out as an idea.
Thank you, Councilman Kling.
Sure, Ms. Jordan really appreciates me putting that on her, but I don't
Yes.
know if that would,
Well,
that seemed to work with, when we did that with Randy Taylor on the financial issues.
right, and that was a little different. What we will probably need is a date certain, and I'm thinking, knowing lawyers and how long it takes to get things done, if we could do a date certain, maybe August 25th, to give him that time. If it's not done by then, I know this is a very important piece of property from the historical perspective, but if it doesn't happen by then, then of course, that property is torn down. So we've waited this long. So is there a motion to continue this until August 25th, which is a regular council meeting?
Mr. President, I move that we would
Postpone.
until August the 25th.
So your motion, Dr. Showers, is to postpone agenda item 13A until August 25th. The chair will second that. Any discussion?
Mr. President?
I saw Dr. Robinson, and then I'll get you, Mr. Clean.
My concern is that you have a neighborhood that's asking for the structure to come down. You have a structure that has been deemed unsafe by our department heads. And what is the city's liability if between now and August 25th, that when you've asked to have it delayed, an injury occurs because a child gets into this building?
It's, and I'm not a licensed lawyer, but it is private property. That is something that would have to be litigated.
But the city has asked for it to be condemned and we take no action.
And I understand what you're saying. We have several properties like this that some of them that we postpone.
And again, based on what Mr. Crutchfield has said, he said he's ready to give up. This sounds like a case that's going to be tied up forever, and we can't just keep delaying and delaying and delaying. At some point, we've given him all the opportunity to do what he needs to do. It's not working. Let's just do what the department heads have asked to do and condemn the property.
And it's certainly
do what's
no
right for the
fault.
neighborhood.
And it's certainly no fault of his own.
Oh, and I agree. It's frustrating. I can tell he's frustrated. But that frustration could go on for a long time, and in the meantime, we have to do what's right for the other property owners who have a right to live in a neighborhood without this present.
And I couldn't agree with you more. However, just as a last resort in understanding the problems with ascertaining a clear title, even if it is at all possible, it may not even be possible. And if that were to be the case, I would hate for us to tear it down and, sir, you get that clear title next week, and then we've, moved forward with something. So,
What would happen in that case if we condemn it and then he gets clear title? Can we then
Give Michelle the
reverse?
that would require council action, because the council, whatever we decide is gonna become the rule on that. So we still have a motion on the floor and a second for postponement.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir, Mr. Clean.
Since this has been delayed already, and my inclination is to follow Mr. Russell's lead, since it's his district. He's been involved in this thing a lot more than I have, so I figure he's got more wisdom on it. And, I guess we can support him whatever he thinks is appropriate. That seems to be about the best way to go. Again, I have, high regard for Ms. Jordan, and I would be willing to basically authorize the condemnation, but then give her some leeway if she sees that, progress is being made, which.
I'm not sure if that's possible, but, Dr. Showers, do you wish to withdraw your motion, sir?
My motion was simply to give this gentleman a final opportunity. He has worked hard, he has come here twice, and I just want to give him the opportunity. Seemingly, he's getting close to resolving it. If we give it the 25th of August it's coming down, if it's not done.
Okay. Ready for further discussion, council members? There's a motion on the floor and a second for postponement until August 25th. Is there any further discussion on that matter?
I intend to support the motion.
Okay. Ready for the question? Mr. Russell, how do you vote, sir?
Vote aye.
Dr. Robinson?
No.
Mr. Clean?
Aye.
Dr. Showers? The chair votes aye. It will be postponed until August 25th. Thank you all so kindly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ms. Jordan.
Thank you.
We're now at agenda item number 14, new business items for introduction. 14A is an introduction of an ordinance to amend ordinance number 89-79, classification and salary plan ordinance brought by Human Resources. 14B is the introduction of an ordinance to amend the budget ordinance number 15642 to modify the authorized strength of a department brought by Human Resources. 14C is the introduction of an ordinance declaring certain equipment surplus to be sold at auction brought by Fleet. Council members, we will take these items up at our next regular scheduled council meeting. And the chair moves for a recess from 8:15 until 8:25. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers. We'll recess until 8:25. Huntsville City Council meeting is back in session. We're now at agenda item number 15, new business items for consideration or action. Are there any items that you wish to hold?
Mr. President, I wish to hold 15P as in Paul.
We have 15P. Any additional items, council members? 15P is being held. 15A is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Tennessee Captioning LLC for closed captioning services brought by administration. 15B is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between Vernon Lee and the City of Huntsville for a special employment contract for a fire supply clerk brought by Fire and Rescue. 15C is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a lease agreement between the City of Huntsville and Alan Wade Murphy and Kathleen Murphy for the vicinity of Western Area Whiskey Tango Papa brought by engineering. 15D is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a license agreement between the City of Huntsville and Alonzo Burwell for property maintenance at North Huntsville Industrial Park brought by engineering. 15E is a resolution. 15C is a resolution is approval to advertise and fill the position of flood plan management analyst, pay grade 15, and to fill position at steps higher than minimum within the pay grade if necessary, brought by engineering. 15F is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute modification number 1 to the agreement between the City of Huntsville and J.C. Cheek Contractors, Inc. for the periodic bid for traffic striping and marking, project number 6515 Sierra Papa 48, brought by engineering. 15G is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 1 to the contract between the City of Huntsville, Reed Contracting Services, Inc. for Highway 72 West and Watercrest Boulevard turn lane improvements, project number 6514 Sierra Papa 40, brought by engineering. 15H is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Oscar Mike India, Inc. for construction materials testing services for Fagan Creek Culvert Extension, project number 65-15, Delta Romeo 01, brought by engineering. 15I is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the City of Huntsville and Oscar Mike India, Inc. for Phase 2 archaeological testing services for Weatherly Road Extension Phase 2, a.k.a. Hazelland Road Extension, project number 65-15, Romeo Delta 03, brought by engineering. 15J is a resolution authorizing the city attorney to settle the claim of Emily Pauley, brought by the city attorney. 15K is a resolution authorizing the mayor to apply for and execute fiscal year 2017, fiscal year 2018 EPA Section 105 Air Pollution Control Program grant in an amount up to $300,000 in federal funding to support the city air pollution control program brought by Natural Resources. 15L is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of donations brought by Finance. 15M is ordinance amending budget ordinance number 15-642 by changing the appropriated fund in various departments and funds brought by Finance. 15N is an ordinance amending budget ordinance number 15-642 by changing the authorized strength in various departments and funds brought by Finance. 15O is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the low bidders meeting specifications as outlined in the attached summary of bids for acceptance brought by Finance. 15Q is a request for authorization to advertise and fill one budgeted regular full-time system analyst position at a higher than minimum if necessary brought by ITS. 15R is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the city of Huntsville, Alabama and the city of Madison, Alabama for the transfer of grant funds brought by Emergency Management. 15S is a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a grant between the city of Huntsville and the state of Alabama Historical Commission previously approved by the city of Huntsville via resolution number 16-169 brought by inspections. 15T is a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a grant between the city of Huntsville and the state of Alabama Historical Commission previously approved by the city of Huntsville via resolution 16-210 brought by inspections. 15U is a resolution authorizing the mayor to accept a grant between the city of Huntsville and the state of Alabama Historical Commission previously approved by the city of Huntsville via resolution number 16-225 brought by inspections. 15V is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the city of Huntsville and Oracle for technical support services brought by ITS. 15W is a resolution appointing Kenneth Binion, clerk treasurer, to perform the duties of mayor under the Code of Alabama, 1975, Section 11-46-36, with respect to the 2016 municipal election, since the mayor is a candidate in the municipal election, to be held August 23, 2016, brought by the mayor and clerk treasurer.
Mr. Chairman, I move for consolidation approval of 15A through 15O and 15Q through 15W.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Russell, second by Mr. Kling, for approval of 15A through O, 15Q through W. Discussion, ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It carries. 15P is a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the city of Huntsville and Christopher Contractors, Inc. for construction services for patio improvements at Big Spring Park, brought by Urban Development. The chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Dr. Showers.
Mr. Chairman, I have questions for Mr. Davis.
Mr. Russell.
Mr. Davis, could you define the scope of this project, please?
Yes, council members. The location of the project is at the very east end of Big Spring Park East. It's on the upper terrace where the two pergolas are. It's probably, to me, the most prettiest part and the most challenging part of access of Big Spring Park East. Currently, from the Courthouse Square area, there's only one access point of stairs near the Regions Bank site. The project will add a new spiral staircase on the north side of the pergolas near 200 West Side Square to allow additional access to the upper terrace. And then there's some old planters on the north side of the pergolas that are just not in very good shape. So we're going to remove those and expand that patio area. And it also will give 200 West Side better accessibility into that terrace area so that probably becomes more likely leasable. Just the access there, they've not been able to lease that area because of the wall that we've put in there. There's just not any room. It's not very attractive. So we're going to make those improvements as part of a multi-phased approach for us to provide better access to our citizens. Hopefully next year we plan on trying to make it even more ADA accessible. We're currently looking at the idea of putting an elevator between the two pergolas, so from the Courthouse Square, someone that is handicapped or wheelchair bound can have access to that, because currently it's very limited. There is access, but it's very, very difficult.
And what might go in the new area that's able to be leased? What is it zoned for?
It's zoned like the rest of downtown C4, but we think with this expansion, there's a very good possibility of a couple of restaurants in that area, which would really animate Big Spring Park East. It's something our public has asked for, is more food options to bring more into the park. So that's what we hope. It certainly could be something else, but working with the ownership, I know they're actively trying to recruit that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Any further discussion, council members? Ready for the question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. It
Thank you,
passes.
Counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Thank you, Mr. Russell. Now to agenda item number 16, legal department items, transactions. 16A is vacation of easement. 16A1 is ordinance vacating a portion of utility and drainage easements, Hawks Ridge Estates, 2700 and 2701 Hawks Ridge Circle, brought by Span. Is there a motion? Motion by Dr. Showers, second by Mr. Clean. Discussion. Ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. It carries. 16A is ordinance vacating a utility and drainage easement, Lot 2, High Mountain Estates, High Mountain Road, brought by Ledbetter. Chair moves for approval. Second by Mr. Clean. Ready for this question? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. It carries. Now to agenda item 16B, vacation of right-of-ways. 16B 1A is a resolution consenting to the vacation of a portion of right-of-way 3604 and 3632 Lookout Drive, brought by Fair and Batson. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Chair moves for approval, second by Dr. Showers. Discussion. Ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. It carries. 16B1B is an ordinance vacating a portion of right-of-way at 3604 and 3632 Lookout Drive, brought by Fair and Batson. Is there a motion? Motion by Dr. Showers.
Second.
Second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion. Ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. It carries. 16B2A is a resolution consenting to the vacation of a portion of right-of-way, McMullen Lane, McMullen Cove Subdivision, JWE Properties. Chair moves for approval.
Second.
Second by Mr. Russell. Discussion. Ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. It carries. 16B2B is an ordinance vacating portion of right-of-way, McMullen Lane, McMullen Cove Subdivision, JWE Properties. Is there a motion?
Move to.
Motion by
Second.
Dr. Showers, second by Dr. Robinson. Discussion. Ready for the question. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. It carries. Council members, there aren't any deeds for acceptance, routine bond satisfaction, or liquor bond mortgages. We're now at agenda item number 17, non-roster communications from the public. If you wish to address the public, position yourself in proximity to the microphone. You have approximately 3 minutes to address the council.
Okay, I'm back. I want to say that we have some incredible people in the city of Huntsville because of the march last week, and y'all did a great, great job. Everything was handled beautiful. We've got some good people, and we didn't hear any noise or any carrying on. I think it was handled great. It was good that went on in the city. You know, I'd like to see the master plan of Cummings Research Park come before this people in this council right here before you change the zoning on it at the next council meeting. I see you're fixing to change ordinances and changing the zoning and getting ready for your development out there. I personally believe that the public needs to see what you're going to do to Cummings Research Park. I said I'm not giving up on it too easy, and I'm not going to, because you're tearing up history out there. And I ask you, don't even go. You know, I don't understand why GE one's put out there. You bought that land, build a building, going to have build the roads, and there's lots of property out there. It's got 2 huge buildings on them. I drive through there a lot, almost pretty much every day, and there was just property out there that you could have built, big buildings, and set that place up great right here in the city of Huntsville. But now you choose to go out in Limestone County. Maybe that's better for them, but you're not trying to fill the blighted. You called it blighted. People ask me what blighted means, and I said, they don't know the meaning of blighted. They say it's 50 years old. Well, my house is 50 years old. Is any of yours? The whole city's blighted. I'm sorry I have to get off on this, but I am. But I would like to see that master plan presented to the people of this city, well, since you call it blighted. And I want to say a few more things. If Mr. Showers, thank you, Mr. Showers, for the compliment, needs another lawyer to take a look at this to ease this thing out and make him happy, you waste enough money to let him hire a lawyer, and y'all agree with it, and let him do that. I think that's a good thing to do. And that sidewalk out yonder, if you made it from 4 feet to 5 feet, why didn't you build it into the school property? That's too much common sense. Build it in, not build it out. I'm going out there and look at it tomorrow and see. I'm not too smart, but I'm very constructive, and I can keep up with you all. I appreciate you, and I love you, and I will be back. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Reed, and I believe the CRP master plan has been presented to the council, and maybe we'll get an opportunity to present it again. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Michelle Watkins, 3615 John Quill Drive. Want to talk about two things. First, I want to thank the council for offering that extension to the gentleman, because that was the home where Martin Luther King had visited when he came to Huntsville. So thank you for doing that. I hope he can get the deed clear. Kind of disappointed to hear that the council has been extended a tour of Jemison, because as the last PTSA president for Johnson High School, Hard Hat tours began in January of this year. From January of this year until May, I have requested several times from the Huntsville City School Board President to give the PTSA Board of Johnson a tour, to no avail. Jemison, who doesn't exist yet, their PTSA was given a tour in January. So to hear that you're getting a tour is disheartening, because we're part of the community, but we're constantly left out. Now I want to talk about the letter that was written to the judge. I'm disappointed in that too, because we were told several times that no communication from Huntsville City Schools through the council, and the mayor as well said that he had nothing to do with the schools. But you write a letter and ask the judge to give the police authority to arrest young men or young women. My thing is, instead of writing a letter with solutions, instead of coming up with some solutions or offering some suggestions, you just want them to be arrested. You never taught in a school. I've taught in a school. The kids need attention and love. They don't need to be arrested. They don't need a record. And, you know, I'm disappointed that you would write that letter and ask the judge to do that, especially when you say you have nothing to do with the schools. So let's stop being exclusive, and let's start being inclusive, and let's start listening to dialogue, whether you agree with it or not. Start listening to dialogue from people who know what they're talking about. I've listened several times here attentively. But what I'm saying to you is the kids do not need to be arrested and given a record for fighting. That's not something to get them a record for. And if they're caught with drugs, instead of trying to send them to jail, try and see if they need treatment, see if they need rehab. We need solutions for these young kids. We don't need them to just be given a record. That's my concern. Thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you, Ms. Watkins.
Mr. President, could I address that a little bit?
Yes, sir, Mayor Battle.
Ms. Watkins, if you want to take really facts, if you'd like to have facts and look at the facts, here's a letter to Judge Heikla. No place does it say that we want to see students arrested. It says that we are interested in our school resource officers, who are very good school resource officers, who have been in the system for 20 years. They've been working with the city of Huntsville for 20 years. They've been working with students for 20 years. They have done a wonderful job. Student resource officers have done things like bought kids lunches. They've taken kids who have gone home and not had anything else to do and needed shelter, and they've given them shelter. But they work with them, and they give us a relationship between police and students. And what we said in our letter was that the school resource officers need to be the ones who decide what is criminal in the schools. They need to be. They're our best officers. They are some of the best we've ever had. We have 121 instances in the schools last year. 121 out of 23,000 students. That's all that you had. 650 was what happened 6 years ago. So we have some school resource officers who are doing a great job of trying to keep kids from being arrested. And they take those kids. If they need mentoring, if they need someone to counsel with them, they counsel with them. They do things that are very special with those kids. And nowhere in that letter does it say, I want police officers to arrest students. I suggest that you get your facts before you come and visit us. I suggest that you get your facts before you come here. And I suggest that if you want to be a school board member, that you start talking about education in schools and how to make our schools better, how to make our children smarter. Because I haven't heard that from you yet.
You
Thank
hadn't been to
And
the
Ms. Watkins,
places I've
Miss-
been.
pardon
Well,
me.
if he's gonna say
Pardon
something,
me,
I
Ms.
need to be
Watkins-
able to
Ms. Watkins,
respond.
if you'll give me an opportunity.
Uh-huh.
You had 12 seconds left. Now, we
Okay,
can
let
give
me
you,
say
we
this,
can,
Mayor.
we can give you an extra minute if this
I
council
need an extra
chooses.
minute.
You're
I know about
Council
SRO
Ms.
officers.
Ms. Watkins, would you
Uh-huh.
wait for just a second,
Uh-huh.
please, ma'am? Council members? Okay.
I know
All right.
about SRO officers. Tony Dykes and Officer Ray worked with me at Johnson, and they treat the kids very well. And you said we wrote a letter. I seen your name on that letter. And to get the facts straight, you did imply arresting. You did imply that. And I understand about SRO officers, and I support them being in the school. But you need to get your facts straight, because I talk about education constantly. I believe you were at the courthouse when I testified on behalf of the students in North Huntsville. So it is about education, but at the same time, they can't get educated if they're locked up.
Thank you. Mr. Jennings, sir?
I would like to, do I need to state my name and address again?
Yes, sir.
It's Mike Jennings, 3815 Millbrae Drive. I'd just like to make a comment about the Ferguson report. And I know that Huntsville has some good police officers. We have a good police department, even though we have some problems, especially with the ticketing and those type of issues. But I took it upon myself to reread the Ferguson report that the Justice Department, 108 pages in March of 2015, and it's heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking to read that report. I mean, it's heartbreaking, and I wanted to say. I don't know if that has been a requirement or how the police department here has taken that report and dealt with it within our police department. I don't know. I'm not finna sit here and say I know, but I'm saying I hope that we would take that report and have some classes on some of the things that's in there. At least talk about it, at least break it down in the different things that's in that report, so that, and I just believe that a lot of people that's sensitive to human relations will, if you read that report, it's just heartbreaking as to the things that were done to kids and young adults and even adults. So I guess what I'm saying, I don't know how we've implemented that here, or have we? If we have, then that's good. If we haven't, I would recommend that we have some kind of seminar on that report within the police department, or a community seminar to just break down that and say why it doesn't exist here, to make sure that it doesn't exist here in the aspects of it. So I just think that, and again, like I said, I reread it, and it'll make you cry if you got any kind of heart for people to be treated the way they were treated systematically for such a long period of time. That's how it can go so long, and the officials, the public officials, the city officials, wouldn't do anything about it. You know, that's the problem, and I don't think that would happen. At least I pray and hope that it wouldn't happen here. But I'm hopeful that we've done something with that report here to sensitize our police department to these things, what not to do. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings.
Excuse me, I didn't finish my time. I need 1 minute.
Okay, we'll give you a minute, Ms. Reed.
Thank you. I only want to say, don't stop the police in the schools. I just happened to think, I read that article today from the mayor and from Bob Harrison, whoever wrote the articles. Don't take the police out of the schools. Grown kids, I got a 12-year-old, wants to fight with me about everything. His son says, I'm in charge. Kids know from the time they learn to walk right from wrong. That's up to the parents to get involved and teach their children. I was a mother and father to my children, and I told my son, if you go to jail for any reason, I will not get you out, and I don't know of anybody else that will. So you better walk the chalk, and you better be good. And if the police come and get you, they're going to keep you, and I want them to. And I get pulled over like everything else. But what's really going on has entered my mind about the police department, that we don't look at them as they laying their life on the line. I've got pulled over twice in last year.
Miss Reed, your
hurry,
time
I'll
is
hurry.
up, ma'am. Your time is up, Miss Reed. We gave you
I'll
another
be
minute.
back. But respect those police officers.
Thank you, Miss
Do what
Reed.
they said to do, no matter what you want to do.
Thank you, Miss Reed. Is there anybody else who wants to address the council other than the young lady who is approaching? If you do, position yourself in proximity to the microphone. So are we correct to assume this is the last presenter? Thank you, ma'am. If you'll state your name and address for the record.
Linda Holmes, 3106 Deer Lane.
Thank you, Ms. Holmes.
And I would like to act on the question that Mayor said against Ms. Watkins. On June the 13th at 6 o'clock on Noblebrook Northwest, we were at a meet and greet with the mayor, and her platform was about education. So you need to get your facts straight. Thank you.
Is that all you have, Ms. Holmes? Is there anybody else who wishes to address the council? Is there a motion?
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you.